How's it going, everyone? James Lynch here for Odds Checker US, taking a look at Saturday's UFC 266 main card, which is going to be on pay-per-view, and it's going to be taking place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We got 2 title fights and a lot of really good action. Let's get right into it. So we're going to be looking at the main card here. Just a quick note, the card's going to be starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. You can do the math on where it is everywhere else as far as the time, but talk about a really stacked main card. Let's start with the women's flyweight fight between Jessica Andrade and Cynthia Calvillo. Most books having Jessica Andrade as about a 2-1, almost 3-1 favorite here. Interesting thing here is that Calvillo called out Andrade. Calvillo coming off a loss to Katlyn Chookagian in her last fight. If you look at the tail of the tape here, 30 years old to 34, 5'1" to 5'4", and 62 to 64 inch reach. So Cynthia Calvillo going to be the bigger fighter in this matchup and has fought more in the flyweight weight class. Andrade is actually on her 3rd weight class. She fought at bantamweight, she fought at strawweight. Now she is at flyweight, of course, coming off that loss to Valentina Shevchenko in her last fight. Can she avoid back-to-back losses? We'll see what happens here. You see she lost to Valentina earlier this year, so looking to get a win over Calvillo and get back in the driver's seat in the title shots. And you look at the losses here, they're all the really good fighters. Lost her strawweight title to Weili Zhang, then lost to Rose Namajunas in the rematch, beat Katlyn Chookagian, which got her the title shot, and then lost to Valentina. So looking for some consistency here for Andrade, but really, like I said, big favorite in this fight. Calvillo coming off a loss to Katlyn Chookagian, who Andrade beat in her last fight. Calvillo getting a win over Jessica Eye before that. Should be interesting. Calvillo for this camp has had a full camp in Las Vegas, has a really structured camp for this one, so I expect to see a much better outing from Cynthia Calvillo, and I do think there is some value on her as the underdog in this fight. But yeah, really exciting fight to kick off the pay-per-view. After that, we've got Curtis Blaydes and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Most books having Curtis Blaydes as a sizable favorite. I think the line's a little bit off in this one. Blaydes is the better fighter on paper, but you do have to worry about that knockout power of Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Blaydes is 30 years old, Rozenstruik 33, 6'4" apiece, and 80-inch to 78-inch reach. So Blaydes with a slight reach advantage in this fight. Blaydes, of course, is coming off that devastating knockout loss to Derek Lewis in his last fight earlier this year. So he's looking to avoid back-to-back losses for the first time in his career. And prior to that, got some really solid wins over Alexander Volkov and Junior Dos Santos, and was on a 4-fight winning streak prior to that. Had he won that fight, Blaydes probably would have got a title shot. Instead, he is fighting Rozenstruik on this main card. Now, Rozenstruik also lost to Francis Ngannou a couple fights back. Most recently lost to Cyril Gane, but did rebound in his last fight against Augusto Sakai, knocking out Sakai in the very first round with a second left in the fight. We know this guy packs a punch. He's got knockout power, so it should be an interesting style matchup. I think Blaydes, if he's able to use his wrestling, has a clear path to victory, but it's easier said than done against a guy like Rozenstruik who has the knockout power. The question is, can Rozenstruik knock out Blaydes, or will Blaydes use his athleticism to win the fight? Really interesting fight there. And then the fight that everyone's been talking about, and just keep in mind, this fight is 5 rounds. It's not often you have a 5-round main card fight that's not a main event or not for a title, but here we are. Robbie Lawler, Nick Diaz. This is actually a rematch. These two fought back in April of 2004, so it's been a bit, but excited to see Nick Diaz back in the octagon. First fight for him since January of 2015, taking on Robbie Lawler, who's a slight favorite in this fight. Lawler, 39 years old, Diaz, 38. 5'11" to 6 feet tall, 74 to 76. So Diaz is going to be a tiny bit bigger in this fight, but not by much. Lawler's in desperate need of a win here. He's on the recipient of 4 straight losses. Rafael Dos Anjos, Ben Askren, Colby Covington, and Neil Magny back last August. So he's had a bit of a layoff himself. In fact, since losing the welterweight title to Tyron Woodley, Robbie Lawler only has 1 win. So that's what makes this fight very interesting. Can Lawler get back on the winning track and also avenge an early loss to Nick Diaz? If you don't remember that fight, we have to go all the way back to, like I said, April of 2004. He got knocked out by Nick Diaz, and it was actually the first time that Lawler had been finished via strikes in his career. So pretty crazy that we're seeing this rematch all these years later. We talked about Nick Diaz there. He's barely fought. So a couple of things about this. First off, coming off that no contest against Anderson Silva back in January of 2015, lost to St. Pierre and lost to Condit. This is actually going to be Diaz's first fight at welterweight, because that Anderson Silva was a middleweight fight. First fight at welterweight since March of 2013. That's a bit of a red flag. I'm sure Diaz will make weight, but still, that's a lot of weight to cut for a guy who hasn't made the weight in a very long time. So really interesting fight here. Like the odds indicate, very interesting fight as far as who's going to end up winning this one. Very much a 50-50 fight on paper. Let's get to the co-main event. Valentina Shevchenko, Lauren Murphy. As expected, Valentina Shevchenko, the flyweight champion, a sizable favorite at minus 1,300. Lauren Murphy, a plus 730 underdog. Valentina 33 to 38. 38, 5'5" to 5'5", and 65.5 inch reach compared to 68. So Murphy with a slight reach advantage in this fight. But yeah, Valentina has looked unstoppable since winning the flyweight title over Ioana and Jacek way back in 2018. She hasn't lost. In fact, she's finished a lot of opponents too, fighters that are tough to finish, including Jessica Ai, Caitlin Chikagan, and Jessica Andrade in her last fight. So Valentina's got a lot of momentum. Murphy, she's coming in with a lot of momentum as well. A winner of 5 straight fights. The last fight against Joanne Calderwood, close fight as it indicates here, split decision. She squeaked that one out. She's had a couple close fights leading into this one, but don't count out Lauren Murphy in this one. Again, the age might fool you and everything else, but she's never been finished in her career, and she's a much bigger fighter than Valentina's used to fighting. So we'll see how that plays out in the co-main event. But Valentina, obviously, a sizable favorite, biggest favorite on the card on Saturday night. Now let's get to the main event, the highly anticipated fight between Alex Volkanovski and Brian Ortega. If you guys watch The Ultimate Fighter, they were the 2 coaches this season, and a lot of bad blood going into this one here. You look at the tail of the tape here, Volkanovski 32, Ortega 30, 5'6" to 5'8", 71.5 inch reach compared to 69 inch reach for Brian Ortega. Volkanovski's not fought since that highly controversial fight against Max Holloway, where he squeaked out a decision in that one. That was in July of last year. So really long layoff here for Volkanovski coming into the fight, but he has not lost in forever, not since 2013. So this is a guy who has not tasted defeat in a while. He's got some really good wins on his resume, including 2 over Holloway and former champion Jose Aldo. So Volkanovski with a lot of momentum coming into this fight. Now Brian Ortega kind of did the opposite of what he did the fight before. He got absolutely destroyed by Max Holloway back in 2018 when he fought for the title when Holloway was champion, but then did the same thing to Chen Sun-jung and beat him, where Ortega was widely counted out in that fight. And we saw really big improvements in his stand-up. So Ortega looking to get 2 straight wins for the first time since March of 2018. Looking to bounce back here. He's had a bit of a layoff too. That fight from Holloway to Chen Sun-jung was almost 2 years. So it's a little concerning as far as both fighters having layoffs in this fight, but 50-50 fight, like I mentioned. Really, really good fight. This is probably one of the best fights we're going to see this year, so really excited for this one. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoy the main card. Like I said, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure you keep an eye on this channel for my main card pick, where I'll get my pick for Volkanovski and Ortega. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel at OddsChecker US, where you will find my breakdowns every single week, along with my fighter interviews. Hope you enjoy the fights this weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.